What's going on YouTube? It's Greg here today, and I bring you a Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 gameplay commentary. Today we talk about aim down sight speed because I feel this is a very important topic, especially because of the Xclusive Ace is another YouTuber. He's really quite popular, and he always talks about mobility and aim down sight speed, and that's just like the way he likes to build his class setups. But I want to talk today, in my opinion, about whether or not aim down sight speed is really that necessary of a stat whenever you are creating a class. And I want to talk to you guys about if there's too much or too little. So we're going to get into that. And today's gameplay, by the way, in the background is going to be an absolute banger for you guys. We join in late after playing like Passion Hours Hardpoint. Okay, if you don't know what that is, Passion Hours is basically like from the time of 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. because for whatever reason all the competitive players, wager players and stuff, are in Hardpoint pubs. So it's the sweatiest matches ever. And then we get this lobby in a late join, and it was just nuts. We make an insane comeback, so hopefully you guys enjoy that. And yeah, anyways, I will see you all in the video, and let's talk about whether or not aim down sight speed is important. So, getting into the topic of aim down sight speed, I think that aim down sight speed is something that is definitely important, but I feel that Xclusive Ace always he's so tight about this statistic. He's always just looking at it, and he's always like trying to tune his guns and build his class setups based around aim down sight speed. And I feel that like whenever he first made the initial tuning video, the only thing he really seemed to care about was the handling stats of a gun. And I think that's a dangerous mentality to have, especially because there are certain guns that already handle pretty quick, right? There's no reason to really try to stack aim down sight speed attachments. And there's also a lot of guns that are really slow at handling, but maybe they still are weak in some areas that you just really don't want to go for handling because they're just not meant to be used that way. So, in my opinion, I think that aim down sight speed is something that is very important whenever it comes to a specific weapon, but it's not as important as you might think. There is definitely a minimum and maximum threshold we should be trying to look at, and I'm going to go over for you guys today whether or not you should be really looking to tune your gun for aim down sight speed. So, let's talk about it. First things first, I wanted to say the gun you are watching here in the background is the MP5 Lachmann Sub with the no stock attachment. Now, this attachment is one of the most aggressive statistical attachments in the game, and what I mean by this is it has really good handling, aim down sight speed, movement speed, and all that kind of stuff. But it's going to severely impact your recoil, your overall aiming stability, and much more. So, is it a good attachment? Not really, right? Because you're actually hurting your weapon much more than you're actually helping your weapon. But at the same time, I did find a setup, which I'm going to show you guys at the end of the video, if you're just wanting to try it. And I would definitely not, recommend using this gun if you're new to the game. It's definitely harder to use, and it's not going to help you really, have fine motor control over your gun and build up proper muscle memory. But I digress. Anyways, back on to the topic of aim down sight speed. So, I think that you should always consider the game's time to kill in mind when you are talking about aim down sight speed. So in this game, you die in about 180 to 200 some milliseconds on average. And that's a very fast time to kill. Now you might be thinking, well, if I get on target faster and I aim down sights faster, I'm going to be able to, in theory, get more kills or be able to compete faster with that time to kill. And you might be thinking that is the case, but I promise you guys, for the way this game plays and the overall pacing of this game is much slower than previous Call of Duty games. And I personally believe that the most important things you should be worried about in your gameplay are going to be recoil control, trying to make your gun feel as consistent as possible, while not completely tanking the mobility stats of your gun. You still want to try to keep them in mind, but you won't be focusing on your recoil control statistics, aiming stability, and anything that's going to help you stretch out the ranges, because, again, this game's playing slower. People aren't moving around as much. They're on cover. You want to have the best recoil control you can possibly have while still making the gun feel good. So I'm going to recommend that you guys focus more on your recoil and aiming stability. And since InfinityWard doesn't share us the detailed statistics in this game, which they honestly should, because it's going to sound really confusing what I'm about to tell you, but you're going to just have to try to put this into perspective. So, for example, in Cold War, we could see the statistics of a gun, and we could see what the aim down sight's time was. If it was clearly stated as 300 milliseconds, then it was most likely going to be a 300 millisecond aim down sight speed. In this game, we can't see that. So, if a gun in this game kills on average in about, we'll say 200 milliseconds for consistency's sake, and your aim down sight speed is 150 milliseconds, you would think, okay, I'm going to win that gunfight, right? But here's the thing, guys. There's human error, okay? And that's another thing you have to account for. The average time to kill might be 200 milliseconds, but that's if they hit all of their shots consecutively. And that's not always the case. And especially depending on where you are in skill-based matchmaking, it's really going to change depending on the way you're playing. So this is why I personally think that aim down sight speed shouldn't be something that you absolutely try to constantly compensate for at all times, because no one ever tries to compensate for human error, right? So if you miss 1 or 2 shots, your actual time to kill is no longer going to be 200 milliseconds, right? That's the theoretical time to kill. And now the time to kill is going to be more on the lines of like 400 to 500 milliseconds. So if the average time to kill in this game is 200 milliseconds, and we have a class setup that aims down sights, we'll say, at 350 milliseconds, at calculating for human error, you'll actually be able to compete with somebody, right? Now, again, this is just theory again, right? Because theoretical time to kill is also theory, right? But I'm just trying to open your mind up to something that I feel that a lot of people just don't calculate for is human error. Because no one's perfect, unless they're cheating, okay? If they're cheating, then they're perfect, right? They're always going to be locking onto you. There's no way they're going to miss any shots. The wall, wall hacking, all that kind of stuff. There's no error when there's a cheater, unless they're just a really bad cheater. But, at the same time, you have to calculate for human error in your gameplay. And the reason for this is because, again, you're going to be wasting your time going for certain statistics, right? Whenever it comes to milliseconds and time and all that kind of stuff for handling. And at the same time, if your ADS is so fast, but the enemies you are playing against aren't shooting as straight because they went for ADS on their guns, right? Their guns, the recoil is not going to be consistent, and therefore their time to kill is not going to be a consistent theoretical time to kill of 200 milliseconds. Because, again, it's because they did not properly build their gun, and therefore they're going to be missing way more shots than somebody who did properly build their gun for versatility. So, what I'm trying to say is, whenever you build your class, if you want to make it simple, don't worry too much about your aim down sight time, okay? Use a gun that has decent handling, decent damage, decent range, right? Something that's like a jack of all trades. Those are like the best guns in the game because they excel at everything, but they're a master of none, right? Those are going to be the best things you can run because that way you don't have to worry about, like, let's say you're using a RAL MG, for example, right? The RAL MG is just a super slow gun, right? Like, the RAL MG is basically impossible to really kit out for handling. So you play passive with the RAL MG, right? Non-aggressive gun by any means. But something like an MP5, you don't have to make it stockless, like I did here, right? Does this MP5 really look like it's consistent? No, it's not consistent at all, right? But it does allow you to be aggressive, so I guess that's a plus. But again, it just could depend on how you play the game, human error, and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this commentary. Let me know what you guys think. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out. Have a great day. Hey guys, I lied. I'm still here. Forgot to give you guys the MP5 class setup. So if you guys want it real quick, it's the F-Tech Castle Compensator, F-Tech M Sub 12-inch barrel, the Lock Grip Precision 40 underbarrel, the VLK Laser 7 milliwatt laser, and the LM Stockless mod. And as you guys will see here, I'm just going over them individually, highlighting them, and then I'll go into the tuning because there are 3 attachments that can be tuned for this weapon. So it's going to be the F-Tech Castle Compensator. We'll start off with that one. I have it tuned a little bit for recoil stabilization as well as gun kick control, just to give us some better recoil controlling properties. And again, I don't want to hurt the downsize a little too much. And then for our underbarrel, I like to tune it a little bit towards hip lock speed as well as aim down sight speed, because I'm not going to be using this gun to hip fire much. I am someone who uses ADS way more in hip fire, so don't really find that important. And then for our barrel, I just have it tuned slightly for recoil steadiness as well as aim down sight speed. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and as always, I will see you all in the next video. Have a great day. Peace out.